Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Faces Strategist and welcome back to Project Zomboid. In this video, we'll be taking a look at what you need to dab on the apocalypse. Now, there are a bunch of things that you will need, but first of all, we're just going to go through the skill requirements first. Then we can actually get everything else out of the way. Now, carpentry, you're going to need to get that to level 7. Cooking and farming as high as possible, because when you cook stuff, it'll be much better for you, it'll fill you up more, and it's just a good skill to have. Farming, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to need to have vegetables, and a lot of them. First aid, you don't need it. Electrical, level 1, so you can actually hotwire cars, along with mechanical level 2. But if you really want to dab on the apocalypse, level it to level 5, so you can actually get access to battery lamps. Metalworking, you're gonna want to get that SOB up to level 8, so you can have metal fences and gates, but minimum level 4 for the metal crates for storage. Mechanical, like I said, level 2, but ideally as high as possible so you can maintain your vehicles. Tailoring, high as possible, because that will just allow you to survive much more efficiently. Fishing, trapping and foraging, as high as possible. That will allow you to survive the apocalypse with style, always have meat, food, etc. Now the other thing is, let's break it down like this. The basic necessities. So first off, we'll take a look at water. When you see these water coolers, basically what you're gonna want to do is just go ahead and pick them up. Now they weigh a ton, but they provide you with 250 units of water. So whenever you see them, mark them on your map. For that you will need a pencil of some sorts. You just mark them on your map, and when you're running low on water, go ahead and pick them up. The other thing is, all of these metal pots, kettles, bowls, plastic cups, plastic bottles, everything along those lines, you're gonna want to pick all of that up. And you're just gonna want to, as you can see, this is all contaminated water, but it is full of water that you can cook in a fire or in a microwave. It'll say, for example, this it needs to go in an oven or a fire, but this one can only be purified in the microwave. So whenever you see bleach, you can pour that out and you can fill that up with water whenever it rains, because the water will be shut off. Now, while we're actually at fire, this is a good one. You can actually fuel it with fire if you don't have an oven, but if you really want to dab on the apocalypse, you will need a microwave and an oven. Now, in order to pick up the oven, you will need electrical level 3 and a screwdriver. And in order to just pick up a microwave, you don't need anything. So a microwave will be your first bet, but you will need both of them in order to dab on the apocalypse. And the reason why I said that you need to level up your carpentry to level 7 is pretty simple, because you can actually build stairs, and I believe for that you need level 7. No, carpentry level 6, but level 7 for basically everything else. At level 7 you will also gain access to the water barrels, which are basically these ones right then over here. Now they can hold 400 units of water each, while these can only hold, I think, like 300 or 200, no, 160. So you should actually get both of them, and you will need to get the stairs, because in order to dab on the apocalypse itself, you will need to gain access to your rooftop, and the best way to do that is with stairs. As you can see, I've actually gained access to the rooftop here, and I've placed off a bunch of barrels, and I was able to plumb my sink, which basically means I can get water from my sink And also, while we're actually speaking of water, you will need to get the clothing dryer and the washer. You'll need to plug in the washer as well. It needs to be up on the rooftop. And in order to actually pick these up, you will need electrical free and a screwdriver. Yeah, you'll basically need a lot of tools and you'll need a lot of storage. I think that's everything regarding water. Right, for drinking, for cooking, and as you can see, the water is out, but I can still drink. And it is purified. You also need to purify them, so get any containers you can. As you can see, this is all filled with water, all purified. I also have bourbon and stuff like that, you know, when I want to have a party. So yeah, that's it for water. Now, food-wise, in order to dab on the apocalypse, there are plenty of choices. For example, in here, I have a bunch of these non-perishable food, basically. Now I'm just gonna eat some jam. There we go. Basically, you're gonna want to stock up on canned food. And I actually have a lot of canned food here. You can find them all around. Basically, I will just show you. I've looted every single house over here. And I did the majority of this. And it was all filled up with actual canned foods. And while the electricity is still on, you're gonna want to eat your perishable foods first. So whenever you're in a house or something, just eat whatever is in the fridge, cook it up, that'll increase your cooking skill as well. And you're gonna want to stockpile on canned foods. And don't even eat the canned foods, just have them all stockpiled up. That's where farming, trapping and fishing actually come into play. Because you're gonna want to find some seeds, plant them. See, this is all ready for harvest broccoli. And I'm just waiting for it to be seed bearing, so I can get off a bunch of seeds. And you're gonna want to do this before winter, because once it actually starts to snow, you will not be able to plant a single thing. Fishing even becomes more difficult, so you're gonna want to fill up your freezers. And while we're on the subject of freezers, these things are a godsend. You can find them in convenience stores, gas stations. You basically get 2 blocks with 39 kilos of storage. So you can basically just fill them up with all of your perishable foods. And it is quite good. Get as many of them as you can if you truly wish to dab on the apocalypse. And in order to actually get them, you just go like this, pick up. And you basically don't even need anything, but it has items in the container. Here you can also keep your ice creams and whatnot. And that's basically how you'll dab on the apocalypse. Just get a bunch of these freezers, also get a refrigerator. In one refrigerator you will actually have 52 pounds just to, you know, keep them on ice. And 26 pounds of in the actual freezer. You could potentially get a lot of them, but also keep in mind that you'll need to refuel your generator quite often, and that actually leads us into the power. Now basically one generator is enough. You'll need to connect it, and for that you will need the generator skill book, which I believe I have a couple of them. Let me just find one. Yeah, how to use generators. I've already read it, but you can basically find that in schools, sometimes even in houses, libraries, post offices, etc, etc. You'll need to read that and basically get engine parts and electrical scraps. No, my bad, not engine parts, you don't need those. Just electrical scrap in order to maintain your generator. And gas, which brings me to another point. You will actually need 2 generators. One for the gas station, where you plan on refueling everything, and the other one for your house. And both of those will need to be turned on and maintained as well. I would suggest that you place a generator down and actually barricade it and only have entry for you. Because the generator runs and it makes noises and it will actually attract the zombies. And that also leads me to gas cans. Get as many of them as you can and fill them all up. So you have 18, 6, 18 more, one empty one. I believe I have some in my van as well. Fill them up whenever you're going to the gas station. It is a godsend to have it. And also mark whenever you find a generator on your map. As you can see, I marked them like this. I actually have a couple of them. I believe I have 2 extra ones. 3, 4. I believe I also found some over here. Okay, maybe not, but you're gonna want to stockpile on them. You don't have to carry them back to your base because they weigh a ton. Just leave them there, but mark them so you know that they are there in case you decide to create another base or something. The next thing is to get a black van that looks like this. I believe this is a Chevrolet. Keep it maintained, keep it repaired, and you have, with the right perks, almost 208 kilos of storage, which makes runs really good. And also try to find a trailer, because they'll get you another 130 approximately with the right traits. Now the trailer can be found on this stretch of road or on this one, or just up here, basically along the highway which connects the cities. That is your best way of actually finding them. A good vehicle is imperative to actually have it. And let me just go back to farming real quick. You will need to create these compost bins and basically fill them up with rotten food. Some of the food you have will rot away, and you can just repurpose it as fertilizer so you can get more fresh food out of it. And of course, whenever you fence off an area and call it your base, you can always expand and actually create a bunch of storage sheds. Yeah, so we covered power, we covered water, we covered food, we covered the skills, we covered the various things that you will need. And with this, you just leave them out, and when it rains, it will fill up. And I believe that that's about it. Oh, of course, tools and weapons. Now you're gonna want to have a bunch of tools and weapons handy. Crowbars, baseball bats, axes, hand axes, for machetes, cleavers, and guns. Now, I don't recommend using guns, and I don't recommend you wasting your ammo unless it's a panic moment. As you can see, I actually have quite a lot of weapons. I hit up a couple of locations, and basically my advice to you would be to take a city apart in its entirety, like I did here. Just loot everything, bring it back to your base, designate a trapping area, designate a fishing area, and within your base actually have a farm. Because with that farm, and with the water sources that you have, you'll basically be set. And you'll be able to survive for a long time. And of course, just don't get bitten and don't get killed. You'll also need armor, but you get all of that by looting. See, I need to repair this glove here. And that's basically it. How you can dab on the apocalypse is just by hoarding items, using the items smartly, and just utilize all of those things and have a bunch of storage available. As you can see, I was actually expanding this space over here to this house so I can actually get some extra storage in, so that I can see if there are any zombies around. Also, it would be wise to have a fence in case you fall down. Yeah, that's basically it. Now, if you truly want to dab on the apocalypse even more, I actually haven't tried this, but you could, in theory, set up an entirely new base, because as you can see, my base is over here, where I'm at currently, and it is a bit far away to actually go to over here. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep looting it relatively sparsely, but if I was to move on to over here, I would probably set up a base right around here somewhere. Just because it is a lot closer. And that's basically it.